On my birthday, my wife took me to dinner, then handed me a folder. Your dad died. He left you nothing. We took the rest. Her brother smiled, holding champagne. My son looked away. I didn't flinch, I just signed the check and walked out. That was 4 years ago. Today, my WhatsApp lit up. We made a mistake. Please come back. On my 42nd birthday, I watched my wife pass a manila folder across the restaurant table like it was dessert. Candles still flickering in the little chocolate cake I hadn't touched. Her brothers sat on either side, grinning like loan sharks in tuxedos. Champagne flutes raised like a toast to something unspeakable. My son, 15, shaky, silent, stared into his plate. I opened the folder. Inside, a death certificate. My father's. He died 3 months ago. No one told me. The second page? His will. It listed everyone. The church. His accountant. My wife. Her brothers. Even my son. All received substantial gifts. Me? One line, to my son, I leave nothing by his own choices. The third page? A signed property transfer. The cabin. My dad's pride. Sold to my wife's brother 2 weeks before he passed. The final sheet? A photo. The 4 of them, my wife, her 2 brothers, and my father, celebrating with wine. My dad looked frail. But he was smiling. She leaned forward. We thought it was better this way. Cleaner. Her brother David laughed. You were always too soft, man. He needed real guidance. I looked at my son. He flinched. I didn't shout. Didn't cry. Just reached for the check, signed it, and stood up. Happy birthday, she said. I left them at the table. Drove home alone. Slept in the back of my car for a week. Eventually, I moved states. Changed my number. Never contacted any of them again. That was 4 years ago. This morning, my WhatsApp lit up for the first time in years. One message. From my son. We made a mistake. Please come back. Update 1. I stared at the message for an hour before I even breathed right again. 4 years of silence broken by 7 words. All caps. No punctuation. It read like a panic scream someone tried to type before the phone was yanked away. I didn't reply. Just reread it until the letters stopped making sense. My new life is quiet. Dead quiet sometimes. I'm a groundskeeper now, cemeteries mostly. I work alone. I sleep in a 300-square-foot studio above a garage I rent from a woman too drunk to remember I live there. It suits me. Silence doesn't lie. But that message? That message cracked something I didn't know was still alive in me. They made a mistake. They made a mistake? Which one? Was it selling my inheritance while Dad was drugged out of lucidity on morphine? Or was it cutting me out of the funeral plans entirely? Maybe it was when my wife forged my signature on the cabin insurance forms before they accidentally lit the back shed on fire for a claim? Or maybe it was when they left my father to rot on a morphine drip for days without food, waiting for his DNR to mean something more useful to them financially? I never told anyone I knew. But I knew. I never confronted them. I just walked. Now my son wants to talk. He was 15 then. A shadow of a kid always hiding in corners. He didn't speak much, not even to me. When his mother took him for weekends at her brother's lake house, he came back different. Still, like an unplugged TV. I always wondered what they did to him. So yeah, I didn't reply. But I did scroll through the old chat. Messages from 4 years ago. His last one, sorry Dad. I didn't know. Then nothing. Now this. So I did what I hadn't done in years. I used the number to call. Straight to voicemail. A robotic voice. Not his. I tried again. Same thing. Then an hour later, a second message came through. Just a picture. It took me a minute to understand it. The photo was grainy. Looked like a security cam still. But you could clearly see her, my wife. Ray. She was in the back of a police cruiser. Hands behind her back. Head down. Hair a mess. The timestamp was 2 days ago. I nearly dropped the phone. The third message came right after. From a new number. This one wasn't from my son. They're unraveling. You were right. Please help us. L. Only one person that could be. Lena. My niece. Ray's goddaughter. The quiet one who used to babysit my son when he was little. Last I heard, she cut ties with the whole family after a nasty inheritance fight over a beach house in Maine. I messaged back. What happened? 3 dots. Then they disappeared. Then came the avalanche. 12 images. Screenshots. Emails. A PDF. One was a scanned bank statement. Another an internal report from a nursing facility. But what hit me hardest? A recorded voicemail. From my father. Timestamped 5 days before he died. His voice was shaky but clear. Don't let them take the cabin. They're pressuring me. I didn't sign it. They said you abandoned me. That you were dangerous. That you didn't want anything. But I know that's not true. Son, if you get this, don't trust Ray. Don't trust the others. Please, save whatever's left. The message cut out there. It had never been sent to me. Just archived. Buried in a shared family voicemail inbox. Lena said she found it 2 weeks ago. Buried under folders of tax returns and lawyer bills. Apparently, Ray had been siphoning from the trust. Not just mine. Everyone's. Over $600,000 rerouted through shell accounts tied to her brother's companies. Money meant for my son. For Lena. for a disabled cousin in Nevada, all funneled through fake caregiver fees and renovation disbursements. My father had dementia, mild, then moderate. Then one night he signed a batch of property transfer forms, while on 3 different sedatives. Ray notarized them herself, illegally, and now, she's been arrested. One of her brothers fled to Belize 3 weeks ago. The other tried to sue the family estate after being removed as trustee. My son, now 19, is still living in the same house, alone. I asked Lena why he texted me now. She said she finally told him everything. That he read the hospice files. That he saw the text logs. That he heard the voicemail. And when he realized what he'd been protected from, and what he'd been used for, he broke down. Then messaged me. So now I'm here, phone shaking in my hand. For 4 years, I built a life out of gravel. Learned to forget birthdays. Learned to silence the part of me that still wanted to believe he was too young to choose. But now, I don't know. All I know is this. My father's last words were stolen. My son's childhood was sold. And somewhere in the mess of cold justice and bitter silence, someone finally screamed, mistake. But here's the thing. Some mistakes, they rot. And some, they wait. Update 2. I drove back for the first time in 4 years. 12 hours, 3 states, 2 energy drinks, and a single phone call from Lena that ended with, just, be careful. He's not the same. The address was familiar. My old house, not my home. That word doesn't live there anymore. But muscle memory is weird. My hand still hovered over the garage remote that isn't mine. My key fob useless. The wind smelled the same, though. Lawn chemicals, mold, regret. I knocked. The door opened instantly. My son didn't say anything, just stared like I was a news report playing too loud. He looked taller, leaner, same jaw, same haunted eyes. His left hand was bandaged. I noticed it. He didn't explain. Behind him, the living room looked half alive. Couch cushions missing. TV unplugged. Mail stacked in chaotic towers on the piano. The air was heavy with that strange rot you only notice in houses where no one laughs anymore. Come in, he said, voice barely cracking. I did. We sat in silence. No hug, no tears. Just the space between us breathing louder than we did. He started talking first. He told me about the night of the dinner. Said Ray rehearsed the speech with her brothers 3 times before we even got to the restaurant. Said they made him practice calling me ungrateful in case I yelled. Said if he hesitated, I'd probably abandon him like his grandfather did. He didn't flinch when he told me, just recited it, like lines from a dead script. Then he told me something I didn't expect. He said the last year of my father's life, they let him rot, left him in soiled sheets, fed him expired protein shakes, refused to refill his meds unless he behaved. Sometimes they'd forget the heat. The hospice report Lena found, buried in raised taxes, marked as miscellaneous health expenses. There were photos. They used my father's pain as financial leverage. Said he'd lose what little was left unless he signed. And even when he refused, they forged the documents anyway. The day before he died, Ray's brother hosted a pool party. There's video. You can see my father in the background through a sliding door, curled on the floor of the den, barely conscious, while they laugh about crypto and grill steaks. I should have told you, my son said, voice cracking finally. But I didn't know what I was looking at. Then he told me the worst part. 3 months ago, Ray found out Lena was digging. My son caught them screaming one night, Ray and her brother David. They accused each other of getting sloppy. The next day, Ray drove my son to the lake house. Said it was a vacation. Said it'd be fun. He didn't come back for a week. He still won't tell me what happened. But I saw the way his hands shook when the name David came up. I saw the photos in the hallway, framed stills from birthdays that never happened. Ray had staged fake family Christmases, bought gifts for show, posted them online. One caption said, "Grateful for this boy every day. Couldn't ask for a better family." That post was from the same week she tried to have me declared legally dead. Yeah, you read that right. She filed an affidavit stating I was missing, presumed dead, citing my abandonment and mental instability as cause. She needed it to finalize the transfer of the last trust asset, a secondary life insurance policy my father took out secretly in 2002. She needed me legally gone, and she almost got it. But the notary she used? Same woman who notarized the cabin papers. She got flagged in a fraud audit. Her license revoked. Everything unraveled from there. Hence the arrest. Hence the silence breaking. I asked my son what he wanted from me. He didn't say help. He didn't say money. He just said, I want to know if I'm like them. I told him no. But I lied. Because the truth is he is. And so am I. Because when he showed me the files, when he handed me the burner laptop Lena left, filled with spreadsheets, voice notes, and hidden camera footage from inside the hospice, I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I started sorting it, categorizing, naming folders, drafting timelines, building the kind of case no lawyer could ignore. And something in me clicked back on. Not the part that wants to forgive. The part that plans. Because they didn't just steal from me. They desecrated my father. They manipulated a boy into thinking silence was loyalty. They turned grief into a stage prop. Now Ray's in holding. David's abroad, but reachable. The other one? He runs a shell company that just got a surprise audit. But that's not the point. The point is, I'm back. And I'm not interested in apologies. I'm interested in witnesses. Update 3. I burned the photo first. The one from the folder for years ago. Ray and her brothers clinking glasses while my father, barely upright, smiled like someone told him it was all just a dinner. He had an A4 taped to his hand. His tie was on backward. His eyes were empty. The room behind them? My childhood dining room. I watched the edges curl black in the sink. Then I made the call. The LLC I set up when I left was still active. I used it for freelance contracts mostly. But it had another function one Ray never knew about. Back then, just after the birthday dinner, I'd done something petty, ugly, maybe unforgivable. I bought the lien on Ray's dental practice. Not outright. Through a shell. Backdoor purchase of a debt package from an investor group in Reno. She'd taken out a balloon loan 5 years prior to upgrade the space, Italian tile, new imaging tech, gold fixtures in the client restroom. She bragged about it constantly. But she never read the fine print. Last month, she missed a payment. My LLC sent the default letter. Then the lockout notice. I didn't do it to make money. I did it so that the day her mugshot hit the web, patients would show up to find the doors chained, the phone dead, the receptionist crying in the parking lot. I did it so that her name would be etched into the Yelp reviews like a scar. Office closed without warning, heard the owners under investigation. Dentist arrested, wish I could leave 0 stars. Used to love this place, now I feel sick. But that wasn't the brutal move. This was. I opened my father's final voice message, the one they never sent me, and transcribed every word. Then I hired a voice actor. A damn good one. Used AI to match tone, breathing pattern, cadence. Had the actor read the transcript as if it were being recorded live. Added background static, low-quality mic hum, the sound of an old hospice fan cycling on and off. It took 3 tries to get it right. Then I packaged it. I created a 60-second version labeled as a lost voicemail and sent it anonymously to every board member of Ray's professional association. Included a one-liner in the email. Before you vote on her license, you should hear what she did to her father-in-law. I attached hospice documentation. Photographs. I didn't sign my name. Didn't need to. But the moment the audio went viral in a regional whistleblower forum picked up by a minor true crime podcast, even Ray's defense attorney filed to recuse. Too toxic. Too real. But the final crack? The one I planned with surgical cruelty? I had my son do it. No pressure. No manipulation. I just left him with the file. He uploaded it to her old business Facebook page. Captioned it, my grandfather's last message. My mother never wanted me to hear it. The comments exploded. And Ray? Ray lost bail that night. Tampering. Fraud. Probable cause for elder abuse. Her lawyer disappeared. Her name, attached to half a dozen fake nonprofits for senior care reform, was scrubbed off every board within 48 hours. The best part? The voicemail wasn't fake. It was real. I found the original buried in a hospice database. Marked incomplete. The AI? That was just a decoy. A fire starter. The real one had a signature tone ping from my father's burner flip phone. And it ended with something I hadn't heard until now. I forgive you, son. If you ever hear this. Don't let them bury me twice. He didn't say Ray. He said them. My son listened to it 3 times. Didn't cry. Just stood up. And said, let's finish this. Final update. We didn't bury him twice. We exhumed everything. After the voicemail leak, the fallout was fast, mean, and permanent. Ray was denied bail again. When she tried to request house arrest, the judge read aloud transcripts of her text messages. He's basically brain dead anyway. Might as well fast-track the inheritance. To a courtroom filled with reporters and 3 retired nurses from my father's facility. David, her brother, resurfaced in Belize. Until we had him served with federal fraud charges. Lena pulled strings through a journalist friend. A write-up hit a major outlet, front page of their finance section. Luxury shell, empty soul. The man who embezzled Grandpa's hospice fund. The other brother tried to sell his half of the lake house. Too late. My son and I already owned it. Bought the lien through a silent auction held after his landscaping company defaulted on its payroll loans. I let him find out when he drove there to retrieve his boat and found the dock torched and a locksmith waiting with a sheriff's order. Brutal? That was just the start. Ray's practice wasn't just closed. I liquidated the space. Sold off her chairs, her imaging machine, her Art Deco lamp she loved so much she used it in every interview. Auctioned it all. Then I mailed her one item. Her framed license. Shattered. wrapped in the birthday restaurant's dinner menu from 4 years ago. No note. She got it while in holding. The guard told Lena she screamed for an hour. David's sentencing is pending. The other ones fled to Mexico. Ray's facing 3 felony counts: financial elder abuse, fraud, and medical negligence. Minimum 10 years. But that's not the revenge. Not really. The real revenge was peace. Real quiet peace. I built a new house. Same lake. Opposite side. Smaller than the old cabin. No grand inheritance. No ghosts. Just space. Water. Silence. My son lives with me now. Itchy gardens. He's learning woodworking. He doesn't flinch at night anymore. We built a fire pit last week. Roasted marshmallows in total silence. Then he turned to me and said, "If they come back, what do we do?" I looked him in the eye and smiled. They won't. Because the world doesn't forget when a family feeds itself on betrayal. And now, everyone knows. Ray's name is scorched across message boards and legal databases. David's is pinned to financial scam watch lists. My father's story, his real story, is part of a nursing school ethics course now, thanks to Lena. There's even a foundation forming, funded anonymously. Its mission? Protect patients from inheritance-motivated abuse. Its name? The Second Burial Trust. My name isn't on anything. I don't need it to be, because for the first time in my life, no one's waiting to hurt me quietly. And for the first time in his, my son smiles like someone who knows the pain stops here. So yeah, maybe that's the happy ending. Not peace, but silence. Not forgiveness, but distance. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. Edit 1. Yes, I still have the original voicemail. No, I'm not releasing it publicly. Some ghosts deserve their rest. Edit 2. For those asking, no civil lawsuits yet. But my attorneys already filed a motion to reclaim hospice expenses with interest. Let's see if Ray wants to argue that from a cell. Edit 3. If you're still reading, don't wait for your monsters to die of old age. Bury them loud. Bury them legal. And make sure no one builds statues after. 3 years later. It's been 3 years since we tore everything down. The lake's still quiet. Same fog, same loons crying at dawn. My son's dog. Yeah, he has one now. Chases shadows along the dock like they owe him something. We named him Jury. The irony's not lost on either of us. A lot's changed. Ray's been in prison 2 years, 8 months, and 6 days. She tried appealing. Twice. Both denied. The last one got laughed out of court when the judge replayed the voicemail again. Forgive you, son. Don't let them bury me twice. The phrase is engraved on a bench we placed behind the house. It overlooks the trees where we scattered what little remained of my father's ashes. I said we exhumed everything. But that's not true. Some things rot so deep they just stop smelling. Doesn't mean they're gone. Just means you've gone noseblind to your own trauma. 3 weeks ago, I got a letter from Ray. Handwritten. Smudged in places like she was trying to cry and control the narrative at the same time. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She asked for proof. Proof I hadn't manipulated the voicemail. That my father really meant those words. Said she'd had 3 years to reflect and now wasn't sure what was real anymore. I didn't reply. I sent a copy of the original hospice voice file to her prison's mental health director with a note. If she's hallucinating new versions of history, you might want to evaluate her cell privileges. That was it? Cold? Absolutely. But not cruel. Cruel would have been sending her a photo of the house. The new doc. My son's smile. Or worse, telling her what her son did. Yeah, she had one. Remember that? Our boy. He's 22 now. He graduated last month. Forestry and land restoration. Honors. His final thesis was on legacy damage in intergenerational family systems. I read it. Twice. Couldn't sleep after. He quoted my father's voicemail at the end. Not for drama. For diagnosis. He's working now full-time with a veterans conservation group restoring woodland near an abandoned rehab facility 2 counties over. He says the trees remind him of the people who never came home right. I didn't ask what he meant. He still doesn't talk much about that week Ray took him to the lake house alone. I don't press. But I see it sometimes in how he locks his door even though we live in the woods. In how he jolts at the smell of cinnamon because Ray used to burn those awful candles every time she wanted the house to feel warm. I asked once gently if he ever missed her. He didn't answer. But the dog growled when I said her name. And that felt like enough. David? Dead. Died in custody awaiting transfer for extradition. Heart attack. Stress. Too much cocaine and too many years thinking no one would touch him. The other brother? Still hiding in Mexico under a fake name. He runs a surf shop. Claims to be allergic to electricity. There's a Facebook group dedicated to tracking family court escapees, his photos posted every few weeks under "Still Watching You." No one's really chasing him anymore. He's irrelevant, but not forgotten. That's the part none of them got. They thought they could erase shame by deleting witnesses. Turns out shame's a tattoo. The deeper it's burned, the longer it glows in the dark. I go to town sometimes. Grocery. Post office. Avoid conversation. People recognize me. Not always by name, but by the story. They tilt their heads, eyes narrow, and I can see the memory firing. Wasn't that the guy whose wife stole his inheritance and got arrested for elder abuse? Didn't his father leave him nothing and it turned out to be a fraud? Yeah, that guy. But they don't whisper it anymore. They smile now. Half sad, half respectful. Like surviving made me folk legend. It's funny what people admire. You burn your life down and they only care that you walked through the flames. They never ask how long you screamed. They never ask about the nights you wanted to disappear into the lake just to see if anyone noticed your shoes on the dock. 3 years is a long time to be free, but not long enough to forget how it felt to be erased. I haven't changed my number, just in case. Every now and then I get texts from random burner phones. Some pretend to be Ray's prison groupies. Some are clearly her. We were family. He was my father too. What you did was worse. I delete them, but I don't block them, because every monster deserves to see the lights are still on. I built a second dock this year. My son stained the wood himself. Blood red. Says it reminds him not to forget. I asked if he wanted to rename the house. He shook his head. It already has a name, he said. It's called after. I didn't ask for an explanation. I knew what he meant. It's not home. It's not healing. It's what comes after the sickness. After the burn. After the betrayal. And if there's anything resembling a happy ending to this story, it's that we're both still here, and they're not. Edit 1. Yes, we still get anonymous mail. Usually junk. Sometimes threats. One time, a torn-up photo of our old family. We burned it. With rosemary. Like Dad used to. Edit 2. No, Ray's not eligible for parole until 2029. And if she ever is, we'll be at that hearing. Both of us. Front row. No words. Just the audio. Again. Edit 3. If you're holding onto poison because you think time will turn it sweet, don't. Spit it out. Burn the source. Start walking. You'll still taste it, yeah? But at least it won't be theirs anymore.